What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Kristen and today we are over in Willowcreek and I am building a pretty small family home. This ends up having 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and that garage that you see there is actually not really a garage, it's a bedroom. And I did that because it was a little bit too small for my liking. I could have done just a 2-bedroom house, but I just couldn't find the right bedroom to make the master bedroom. And so I decided, instead of just having a useless garage there for, nothing, it's basically just for looks since we do not have cars here in The Sims 4. I figured maybe I could use that space and make it look like it was remodeled into a bedroom. And so yeah, before I get any deeper into today's video, I would like to take a second to invite you guys to like this video if you do find it enjoyable in any way, and also subscribe if you have not already. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys that takes the time to like my videos, watch my videos, and even comment down below what your favorite part of the video is. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get back into today's build. As you can see, this is only a single-story family home. I tend to do a lot of double-story family homes, or 2-story, I guess is the proper term for it. I tend to do a lot of 2-story family homes, so I wanted to be a little bit different and do a single-story family home instead. And I wasn't really going for, super realistic, but as I was building this, it is very realistic looking. Honestly, I feel like I have seen a dozen of these houses here in real life, just driving through my neighborhood or just random neighborhoods in my city. And so yeah, I was pleased to see that this is pretty realistic looking, and so I kept that vibe throughout the whole house. And so, like I said, I did renovate that garage into a bedroom, but I kept the actual garage door on the outside just because I wanted the garage look on the outside. I don't know what it is about garages on houses. I absolutely love it. And I really wish they would add functional cars here in The Sims 4, but that's a whole nother story that, I could talk about for hours. So before I get too involved in that conversation, let me just go ahead and change the subject to something else. So we are focusing on the floor plan now, and at the moment I have a staircase going down into the garage, but that does end up changing. At first I really wanted to make that a garage, but like I said, I just ran out of room, and I didn't want to do just like a 2-bedroom house. I never do 2-bedroom houses, so there's nothing wrong with 2-bedroom houses. I don't know, both of those rooms there in the corner of the house, on the right side of the house there, they just don't look like master bedroom quality to me. They're both super small. They just look like extra spare bedrooms. And so I just really did not like that. And so that is ultimately why I decided to renovate the garage into the master. And other than that, we have an entryway, of course, that actually ends up being the dining room. I don't love that, but I had nowhere else to put the dining table. This floor plan actually ended up being a lot harder than it really should have been for me. I guess it's the size. I'm used to having, 2 stories, and so I'm used to putting like the whole bottom being like the main part of the house with the kitchen, the living room, dining room, whatever, and then the upstairs being where the bedrooms are. And so since I didn't have that extra area upstairs, it made it a little difficult, but I ended up doing it in the end, and I think it turned out really good, and like I said, pretty realistic. And this bathroom, I actually ended up using the brand new bathroom kit. It's like the sleek bathroom or something like that. I absolutely adore the items that came in this pack. How beautiful is that shower and the tub and the sink and the toilet? All of that came in that kit, and I absolutely love every single piece that came in that kit. That kit also came with a divider, if I'm not mistaken. And I did not get a chance to use the divider in this build, but let me tell you, I absolutely love that divider, and I cannot wait to use it in future builds. Right now, I'm pretty much just placing filler furniture. That bathroom is not done by any means. Neither is the kitchen. I actually end up adding a bigger island in the kitchen. Yes, right here. I am adding 4 different pieces of island counter right there in the middle. It just had like enough space to add a counter, or an island I mean, and thinking back, I probably could have put the dining table there and left where the dining table is now. I could have left that as like an entryway, but I just love adding islands in my kitchen. I do not know why. I just love the look of an island in a kitchen. And so I usually add them in like every single build that I ever do. And I am also placing the furniture that I think I am going to want to use here in the living room. And the living room was another place that I had a little bit of a hard time designing here in the beginning. But once I got the furniture down, I seen the image in my head and I knew what I was going to do once I got back to the living room to actually decorate it. Those chairs, the sofa, the love seat in the living room, they do not stay, don't worry. I am with you on the fact that I'm so sick and tired of those base game couches. I use them so often because they're like the most versatile and kind of the easiest to put and decorate around. And they're just, you know, typical couches that we do not have enough of in The Sims. And also I love that they have, you know, a love seat along with a 3-seater sofa. I know that shouldn't be a lot to ask for, but yet we tend to not get those a lot in new packs. We tend to either get a love seat or a 3-seater sofa and not both as a set. I do not understand, you know, the point of that, but then again, this is The Sims and we're not supposed to understand it, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, we are outside and I am trying to lay out how I want the pool area and the fencing and all of that good stuff. And I end up actually making a curved pool. Right now it's square, but I changed it to curved. I just love the curved pools. I think they're super, super cute and it adds kind of like an extra detail, you know, other than like a square pool. And we had square pools for so long here in The Sims without having curved pools that I am just overusing the curved pools lately, but I do not regret it, to be honest. And then right next to the pool, I actually have like a curved patio area and I end up putting a patio table and chairs there along with like a grill, and that's like a little outdoor hangout area where you can like eat dinner if you go and swim by the pool all day and you grill some burgers at night. That's what the table's there for. I don't know why I felt like I had to explain that to you guys, but here I am explaining it. And since this is a family home and since there is a garage, I just really wanted to make sure that I put some cars outside of the garage to make it look, you know, obvious that there's a family that lives here and both parents have a car to their own. I have 2 cars out front eventually, not right now, but eventually I do. And actually something else that I end up doing out there in the front, I end up putting a basketball hoop right in front of that fence on the left side. I know that was a lot to understand. I hope that makes sense, but you guys will see here in just a moment. I end up putting the basketball hoop there right in front of the sidewalk. So normally what I do with basketball hoops is put it above the garage door, but something that you see so much in real life is having a basketball hoop right by the street or the sidewalk. Typically a street though, and then kids will like play at the basketball hoop in the street at the end of their driveway. I see that so much. And so I really wanted to mimic that here in The Sims, and it actually looks really, really cute. And you don't have a problem with playing basketball in there either. Something that I notice if I do end up putting the basketball hoop above the garage, if it's too tall, it does not work correctly. Either like your Sim's shooting and they should have shot it in the hoop, but it looks like they missed it because it's too high. And sometimes your sim can't even get to it if it's too high. So I wanted to avoid that this time, and ultimately that is another reason why I decided to put it out there by the sidewalk at the end of the driveway. But the main reason was for the realistic aspect of it. But we are now over into the master bedroom, and I am decorating this for both of the parents. I figured there's 2 parents in this house, and I am using this bed from For Rent, and this is my new favorite bed in the game, hands down. I think it is so pretty. I would love a bed like this in real life. I love how it has the columns on each side, and then it has the fabric draping over the top. I think it just looks so pretty. And we are sticking with the blue theme in this room as well, as you guys probably noticed. But yeah, so I am using the Comfy Gamer kit quite a bit in this build, honestly. That kit has been something I've been using a lot of lately. That is my favorite kit for sure. Since we're on the subject of favorite items in the game, that kit is definitely my favorite kit. I use the items in all of my builds recently. I probably need to calm it down before I overuse the items, because I've been known to do that, but I just can't help myself. I just love all of the items in there. I think they are so cute. And I love how there is now like the actual like computer tower that we can put by the monitors. I love that. That is so realistic. And I am also using some of the shelving to put above the desk that is there, and then I'm putting some little poofs around. I'm actually not quite sure at this time what I want to do with that corner right there. I have tested out a couple of different things, and yeah, I just cannot decide what I want to put there, so we will come back there a little bit later. But I did put a dresser on the other side, and that oh, here's the basketball hoop I was talking about. But anyways, yes, I did put a dresser, and that dresser was from Discovery University, and I end up changing the swatch, and that swatch that I end up changing it to matches perfectly with this bedroom setup. I am using a couple of different things from different packs. So the bed is from For Rent, like we said, same with the nightstands, and then that computer desk is actually from... it's Dream Home Decorator, I think is what that's from. Either that or High School Years. I can't quite remember, but that dresser that I'm using, that's from Discovery University, and like I said, I do change the color. The color right now does match, but there's an even better color that matches way better. It's a little bit of a lighter wood, and then there's some white in there, and it just looks so good in this room. And then I put a laundry hamper right there next to the dresser. I do end up putting a washer and dryer in this build, but I will talk about that once we get over to it. And as far as that corner that I said I could not figure out what I wanted to do with, I'm pretty sure I just stick with that chair that's there. That chair is also from For Rent, and it matched too good with the bed not to use somewhere in this room. And then I also put an easel in here, and I figured that Mom was really into painting, either Mom or Dad. It really doesn't matter. I was just thinking Mom was really into painting, and she also works from home on that computer. She talks to her clients that she hires, like the freelancer career sort of thing, and she talks to her clients on that computer that's there. So that was my train of thought as far as the mom's career went. As far as the dad's career, I didn't really think about it, to be honest. I think Dad is just really into his business career. Like, he's a business guy through and through, and he spends a lot of time at work, probably a little bit too much time at work, but of course he does make sure that he comes home on time every night to spend dinner with his family. Although he does spend a lot of time at work, he is a really big family guy as well. So his family is always number one, but to be able to support his family, he has to have a good career. And so, yeah, that's why, you know, his family is his first love, his work is his second love. And that is how it should be. That's how it always should be. Work should never come before family. I am a firm believer in that. Because, you know, when it's time for you to go, who do you think is going to be there? Your family. Who do you think is going to replace you in 5 minutes? Your career. It is what it is. It's true. But on another note, we are now over into the child's bedroom, and I thought this was for like a preteen boy that's really into basketball, of course. There's a basketball hoop outside that I spent like 5 minutes earlier talking about. And then he has a bedspread on his bed that is a basketball player. So he dreams of being a basketball player when he grows up. And when he gets to high school, he's not really interested in football. He's really interested in basketball and becoming a basketball star. So that is where his interests are. Other than that, he is really into video games as well. I mean, what young boy is not into video games? Honestly, everyone I know that is a preteen boy or a child boy, they're pretty much into video games. Either video games or sports or both. And this kid is, in fact, into both. And I think that's very healthy. You know, no one should spend too much time on video games while I'm sitting here in front of the computer playing a game. But on another note, it is really good to have that additional hobby that isn't just physical activity. You need some downtime, some relaxing time to recoup anyways. And so I think, you know, being into sports and video games, those are like some really healthy couple of hobbies to have together, in my personal opinion. But as far as the decorations go for his bedroom, I really wanted to keep the vibe of a preteen boy, and so I just have like some random stuff around that screams preteen and boy. And I have a couple of these beanbag chairs that came with the high school years pack, and then I have some posters here next to his bed. Now, those are football players, I do realize that, and he's into basketball, but you know, they didn't have any basketball players on the posters. I think they do in the kids' room stuff, if I'm not mistaken, but I wanted to use these, so it is what it is. He's just really into sports, let's just call it like that, because I do have not only the basketball hoop out there with the basketball, but I also have a football and a soccer ball in the backyard as well, so he's just a really sporty kid. And I had to bring my sim in here to play test that mental table to see if the kid was in fact able to reach it. And to my surprise, he actually was able to reach it. I didn't think he was going to be able to since it's kind of back there in the corner. But yeah, I was really happy to see that they are in fact able to use it. And as far as that table goes, that coffee table in front of the beanbag chairs, I put a couple of controllers there that is for the PlayStation, and then I have like the sticker set from the Comfy Gamer Kit, and I also put a couple of sodas there. The reason why I did that is because I feel like that's like a thing. A lot of kids like to leave like empty soda cans in their room, and so that's kind of the vibe I was going for. And then last but not least, I also put a project in there, like a school project, a completed one. And, well, not last, I guess second to last, because there is one other thing I want to talk about, but I did put a school project in there, a completed one. It's the solar system one, because he's also a smart kid. This kid has many talents, okay? He is all sorts of things. And then lastly, I put a shelf above his bed that has a bunch of trophies on there and like medals and stuff. And you know, he's really into sports and he's really wanting to train to become better to maybe be a professional basketball player when he's older. And so I figured it was perfect to put some trophies in there. That is his trophies that he has won so far in life, and he likes to show them off. And so yeah, and I also just think that is super cute. I absolutely love that shelf from Kids Room Stuff. And yeah, so that is it for the preteens room. We are now over into the infants room, and I actually decorated this for a little boy as well. I thought, this family, they have 2 boys, and I don't do that very often. I usually do like one of each gender, but I really wanted to switch it up a little bit and go ahead and do 2 boys instead, because if I do the same gender, then it's typically 2 girls, just because I really enjoy decorating girls' rooms, but yeah, I just wanted to be really different this time, and so I did 2 boys, and that was pretty fun too. And that infant's room came together very, very quickly. I just used a bunch of like base game stuff for the infant, like the crib and the end tables on each side of the crib, and then of course the changing table. It matches the base game crib, but the changing table is actually from Growing Together, because I guess you need that pack to have the changing table. I don't really agree with that, but that is how they designed it. So I guess they needed you to buy the pack somehow. The infants were free at least, but the changing table is not. Your babies, you have to change your babies with no changing table if you do not have a Growing Together, I guess. Which probably means your Sims will leave dirty diapers all around the house, so that's always fun. But as far as this bathroom goes, we're kind of switching from the kitchen and the bathroom. When I find different items in the catalog, I am known to do that. And it's not, you know, my favorite thing that I do, but it is something that I do. I don't know why. It's mainly because when I come across something that I know I'm going to want to use, I know I'm going to forget about it unless I place it somewhere. And so yeah, I usually have to place it somewhere. We are over into the kitchen and finally decorating the kitchen, and I came across that little family cookbook that came with businesses and hobbies, right? Didn't it come with the newest expansion pack? I'm pretty sure that it did, and I absolutely love that. I think it's so cute. I don't play the actual game as much as I used to, and so I'm not really sure how well it works physically playing. Hopefully it works good. Hopefully it's working as intended. I did kind of play test it when the pack first came out, and I thought it worked pretty cute. I made like the chocolate bombs with a secret ingredient of a cherry, and so it was like cherry chocolate bombs, and the only thing I wish would have been different is the actual item being different. Like, it looks exactly like the chocolate bomb and there's no like red involved or anything. I get how that would be really hard to do since there's so many possibilities with so many dishes and so many items they could use as a secret ingredient. I get that it's probably nearly impossible to do that, but that would have been such a cute touch if it did change the actual look of the dish. But I mean, at least we're able to pretend that it's a brand new dish and not just the same chocolate bombs. But yeah, I mean, I do really love that idea. That is something that I never would have even thought about the Sims team putting in one of the packs, is like a family recipe cookbook, but that is super cute. And other than that, I am putting the typical stuff here in this kitchen. I have like the family board right there. I love putting that in family houses. And something that I don't normally do though is add a washer and dryer in the kitchen. That actually is pretty realistic in a lot of houses, especially apartments or townhouses. I don't think I've actually seen it in like an actual block home, but I didn't have anywhere else to put it in this build, and I really wanted to add a washer and dryer. It adds an extra, you know, sense of gameplay to a family house. If you hate it, you could totally delete it and add an extra counter there, or you can move the fridge over there where the washer and dryer is. But I thought it was kind of cute having the washer and dryer right there and then having the fridge over by the sliding glass door. And you probably seen me trying to find a place to put the food bowls for the dog. There is in fact a dog in this house, or at least I furnished this house to include a dog. It could be a cat, but I was kind of thinking about dog. You could just, you know, place a litter box and a scratching post if you do end up having a cat instead. But I love adding pets in my family builds because no family is complete without a pet. I mean, that's my personal opinion anyways. And so I love adding that here in The Sims. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I have the hardest time trying to figure out where to place the stinking pet bowls, and this build was no different. I could not decide where I wanted to place those bowls, so I ended up doing away with the double bowl idea. I usually do that because it's super realistic to have the 2 bowls, even though you really only need one, because here in The Sims, for some reason, dogs and cats don't need water, but they do need food. And so I ended up doing away with the double bowl idea, and I just replaced it with the singular refillable bowl. And then I placed it here in the living room on the right side of the fireplace. There was really nowhere else to put it. And yeah, so we are finally over into the living room, and the living room gave me a little bit of a hard time on how I wanted to design it. I really wanted to do something different than I normally do. I always use the sofa and love seat from one of the kits. It's like the kitchen kitsch kit or whatever. That is my absolute favorite couch set here in the game, but I use it so much, so I wanted to do something different. So I figured, why not use my second favorite sofa set and do the sectional sofa. And I never ever use that curved sectional piece, and so I really wanted to figure out how to use it here. As you will see here in just a moment, I did not know what to put on that far wall over there. I do end up removing the pictures that are there, and I place some bookcases there instead. Different bookcases than what you see here on the left side of the fireplace. Those were a little bit too much for this area. I thought it made it look a little bit too cramped. I did try it out. I did place them all along that far wall over there, but it just did not look right whatsoever. So I did away with those bookcases, no matter how much I really love them, because I do. Those are my favorite bookcases in the game. I ended up switching those out, and I used the kind from Dream Home Decorator. I thought it matched a lot better in here, and that kind of makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, because that sofa set, or the sectional, is actually from Dream Home Decorator, so I guess that's why it went so well. But the size of it just looked a lot better, as well as the look of it. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the living room. I also added the playmat for the infant. I love doing that in my family builds. You know, it's a place to put your infant. It's really useful to place your infant there, and they will not roam around the entire house. So I love that about the playmats, that they can't just get out on their own, even though it kind of doesn't make sense. If a baby can crawl, that playmat in real life is not going to hold that baby back at all. So it's really not realistic, but it is nice to put your baby there in the sense, and you know they're not going to move. Because I'll tell you what, them infants, they scoot around or crawl around everywhere, and they are so hard to find sometimes, especially in a bigger house. But yeah, so we are pretty much done with the living room finally. I do change those pictures right there, and I add some family picture frames instead, and these mirrors I actually move over by the entryway. I thought that little switcheroo made a lot more sense than how I had it previously. And I was gonna add a coat rack here because I feel like I do that in all of my builds. Almost no house is complete without a coat rack. I don't know what it is with me and coat racks, but it just makes it feel more homey. But I ended up not doing the coat rack, and I put a picture, or I put a plant there instead. But yeah, so that is it for the living room. That's it for the dining room. All of the house is done, and we are back into the bathroom, and I am adding some last minute decorations here. And I am doing something that I have actually never done in a build before. I have seen other people do it. It's not by any means something I thought of myself, but I have wanted to do this for the longest time, but I have just been a little bit too lazy. And so I've just never done it. So I wanted to take the opportunity to do it now, since we do have the brand new bathroom, like sleek bathroom kit, or whatever that kit is called. There's so many kits, it's hard to keep up with all of the names. But since I am using this brand new kit in this bathroom, I figured, why not do something I have wanted to do for the longest time, and that is adding a piece of like shelving on top of the bathtub and adding different items on top of that shelf. And in this case, I actually added like a wine bottle with a wine glass, even though I'm pretty sure the wine glass is not going to be there if you download this off the gallery, but I thought it was a cute touch to add here in the video. And then I added a candle, as well as a board with some bath salt on there and some body scrubs and stuff like that. And I thought that looks so relaxing to sit there in that bathtub, doesn't it? And I did play test it, by the way, as you've probably seen, and it does work 100% correctly. Your Sim can in fact get inside that bathtub, and it looks so cute. I'm so happy with it, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing that again in the future. And other than that, I placed the normal stuff I always do in bathrooms. I placed a couple of robes there right by the shower and the bathtub, and of course a little towel rack and some picture frames and some toothbrushes and a soap holder and all of that good stuff that everyone needs in their bathroom. And yeah, so we are finally done with the inside of the build, and we are now working on the outside again. And one thing to note is that little entryway area right there. I have a bench, but actually as I was playtesting and taking the picture to put on the gallery, I thought that bench looked a little bit weird like that, so I ended up changing it to a white seat by itself. And that just looked so much better. And I also added that same white seat in the back porch as well, because I did forget about that in the video. I realized that as I was playtesting. And so I just added the white chair, or no, it's not the white swatch. I'm pretty sure I used the grilled cheese swatch, I think. It's the chairs that came in one of the recent base game updates. Well, it's really not recent, actually. It was from the 20th anniversary, I think, back in 2020. So I guess we've had them for like 5 years now. That is so hard to believe. I just always forget how old The Sims 4 really is. But yes, other than that, we are putting hydrangeas everywhere around this yard. I absolutely love hydrangeas in The Sims, and in real life I think they are such pretty flowers, especially white hydrangeas. And I am also using those row bushes with the white flowers on there, as well as some hedgerow bushes from the debug catalog, which came with the get together pack. I have recently discovered those, and they are my new favorite bushes in the game. They like fit up against walls and fences so perfectly. I actually like them better than the base game hedgerow bushes, which, you know, might be controversial. I know the hedgerow bushes in base game are very popular, and they were my favorite for the longest time until I discovered these, and now these are my new favorite. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the yard. I actually did not add fairy lights in this build, which is crazy of me. I am so used to adding fairy lights in all of my builds. I love the fairy lights. I think they're so cute, and I think it would have made this backyard look even cuter, but it really wasn't needed, and I don't want to add them in every build, or else, you know, they're not special. And so I did not add them here. But I did add a toddler slide. I know there's no toddler, but that infant will grow into a toddler in no time. And then I added a swing set for the child of the house. And yeah, I mean, that is pretty much all there is to note for this build, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you did, please leave a like if you have not already, and also subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you all have an amazing day or night wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!